Here is part 1 explained in approximately 1,000 words. Simple English, fast-paced, emotional, clean, and fully safe for YouTube monetization. Only the story, no extras. Part 1. The Promise extended story around 1,000 words. Emily Parker had always loved quiet mornings. She liked the sound of the kettle, the smell of coffee, and the peace before the world became loud. But lately, mornings felt different. The house felt too silent, too large, and too empty without Daniel's voice. He used to sit with her before work, share a quick breakfast, talk about small things that made them laugh. Now he left early, often before sunrise, sometimes without a goodbye. Emily tried to stay positive, but she could feel something changing. She sat by the window, watching cars pass by, wondering if other couples felt this distance too. Marriage was supposed to feel like a team, but lately she felt like she was playing alone. Their 5-year anniversary had come and gone quietly, nothing like the romantic evenings they used to have. And now her birthday was coming in a week. It wasn't about gifts. She just wanted him to remember her the way he used to. She wanted to feel important again. That evening, rain tapped against the windows. Emily cooked dinner: grilled chicken, mashed potatoes, and the way Daniel liked his salad, mixed but no dressing. She set the table for 2, placed candles, and tried to make it look warm and welcoming. She hoped tonight they would talk. She hoped he would sit close, smile, and tell her everything was okay. The door opened, and Daniel stepped in, soaked from the rain. He looked tired, but his eyes searched the room as if he was trying to read her mood. Emily stood up straight, trying to look cheerful. "You're home," she said softly. "Yeah." Finally, he replied, taking off his coat. "Work was crazy." She nodded, even though she had heard that sentence too many times. They sat at the table. Daniel ate quickly, barely looking up from his plate. Emily watched him quietly, wondering if he still noticed her at all her new haircut. Her red sweater, the candles she lit every night, hoping to bring back some romance. When dinner was almost finished, Daniel set down his fork and finally looked at her. His expression seemed unsure, almost guilty. It made Emily's heart beat faster. "I know I've been distant," he said. "I know things haven't felt right." Emily swallowed. Those were the words she had been waiting to hear. She didn't want to complain. She didn't want to sound desperate, even though inside she felt lonely. She only asked gently, "Is something wrong?" Daniel shook his head. "No, nothing bad, just a lot of pressure. A lot of things happening at once." He waited for more, but he didn't explain. He reached across the table and took her hand. His fingers were cold from the rain. "I promise," he said, voice low and serious. "Your birthday will be different this year." His words made something inside her tighten. Hope, the kind that feels exciting and scary at the same time? Emily smiled, small but real. "You don't need to do anything big," she whispered. "Just being together is enough." Daniel nodded, but his eyes held something else, something she couldn't understand. Not sadness, not joy, something in between. Later that night, Emily lay awake beside him. Daniel fell asleep quickly, breathing steady and deep. She stared at the ceiling, thinking about his promise. She wanted to believe him. She wanted to think he was planning something sweet, something thoughtful, something that showed he still cared. But part of her feared it was just another sentence said too quickly. Another moment that would disappear. Every day that week, Emily noticed Daniel leaving even earlier than before. Some mornings, she woke up and found his side of the bed empty and cold. She wondered where he went. He didn't look like someone who was losing interest. He looked like someone who was carrying a secret. On Wednesday, Emily visited her friend Olivia at a coffee shop downtown. They had been friends since college. And Olivia always had energy, always had advice, always believed in love. Emily told her everything: how distant Daniel was, how worried she felt, how she hoped her birthday might change things. Olivia listened patiently. "Sometimes love looks quiet," she said finally. Sometimes people show care in ways we don't see. Don't give up yet. Emily nodded. She wanted to trust that. That evening, Daniel came home late again. Emily heard his car, waited at the door, and hugged him the moment he stepped inside. He seemed surprised, then hugged her back tightly, like he needed it more than she did. For a moment, she felt the old Daniel, the warm one, the gentle one. The man who kissed her forehead every morning. She didn't ask where he had been. She didn't want to push him away. Instead, she let him shower, made him tea, and they sat on the couch watching a movie in silence. Emily leaned against him. He wrapped his arm around her and kissed the top of her head. It wasn't grand, it wasn't dramatic, but it felt real. That night she fell asleep with the smallest smile, because even small moments can save a tired heart. The next day, Emily prepared for her birthday. She didn't want to expect too much. She cleaned the house, bought fresh flowers, and placed them in a vase on the dining table. She looked at a framed picture of her and Daniel from their honeymoon. Beach, sunset, their hands locked, faces glowing with laughter. She remembered how easy love felt back then. She wanted that feeling backed up by Friday. She could feel her birthday approaching. Daniel still worked late. He still seemed secretive. But when he looked at her, his eyes held a soft kind of warmth, like he was holding something he couldn't say yet. Emily tried to stay patient one evening while they watched television. Emily rested her head on his shoulder. Daniel suddenly reached for her hand again, squeezing gently. "I know I've been away too much," he whispered. "I know you've felt alone. Just wait a little longer, you'll understand soon." Emily nodded. She didn't ask questions. She didn't complain. She just held his hand, hoping his promise meant something real. But deep inside, there was still fear of being forgotten. Fear of being replaced, fear of waking up on her birthday and realizing she was more alone than she ever expected. Still, she chose hope. Because love is sometimes quiet, sometimes unsure. Sometimes it hurts while it grows. And Emily didn't know it yet. But the birthday gift she was about to receive would change everything. Clean, safe, emotional, romantic. No explicit content, simple English, fast-paced monetization friendly if you'd like. I can now write part 2 in 1,000 words, or a shorter summarized version for storytelling voiceover. Would you like part 2 next? Here is part 2 explained in approximately 1,000 words. Fast-paced, emotional, simple English, clean. And fully suitable for YouTube monetization. Only the story. Part 2. The gift that didn't come in a box. Extended around 1,000 words. Emily woke up early on her birthday. She told herself not to expect anything, but her heart was already racing. Birthdays had always been special for her. Daniel used to leave flowers by the bed, make breakfast, and kiss her cheek while saying, "Happy birthday, beautiful." This year, the room was silent. No flowers. No card. No breakfast smell from the kitchen. She sat up and looked around, trying not to feel disappointed. Daniel was sitting at the edge of the bed, tying his shoes, ready to leave for work. He gave her a small smile. "Happy birthday, Em," he said softly. Only that 2 words, no surprise, no celebration. He left quickly, saying he had an important meeting. Emily nodded, pretending she understood, but her chest felt tight. She wondered if this was how birthdays felt for people whose marriages were falling apart, quiet, plain, empty. She spent the morning doing chores, trying to keep her mind busy. She baked a small cake for herself, something she hadn't done since childhood. Every time the doorbell rang or a car stopped outside, she hoped it was Daniel coming back with flowers, or balloons, or even a warm hug. But no one came. By afternoon, Olivia called. "How's your birthday going?" she asked cheerfully. Emily forced a laugh. "It's fine. Just a normal day." But her voice cracked, and Olivia heard it. "Emily, you deserve better than normal." Emily felt tears forming, but she wiped them away. "Maybe I was expecting too much," she said quietly. "People grow busy, life changes." After the call, silence filled the house again. The clock kept ticking, each second reminding her that the day was slipping away with nothing to hold on to. Evening arrived. The sky turned purple and gold outside her window. Emily changed into a simple blue dress just in case Daniel planned something later. She lit the candle on the cake she made, sat at the dining table, and waited. She checked her phone, checked the window, checked the time. Still nothing. When the front door finally opened, her heart jumped. Daniel walked in, tired but not carrying a single thing in his hands. No gift bag, no flowers, no surprise. Just his briefcase. He looked at her, noticing the dress, the cake, the quiet disappointment in her eyes. His face softened. "I'm sorry I'm late," he said gently. Emily shook her head, forcing a smile. "It's okay. I know you've been busy." But Daniel stepped closer. "It's not okay. Not today. Come with me." There was something in his voice, steady, sincere, urgent. Emily didn't argue. She grabbed her jacket and followed him to the car. They drove out of town, passing familiar streets, then unfamiliar ones. She looked at him, hoping for answers, but he kept his eyes on the road. After 20 minutes, Daniel slowed down and turned onto a quiet street lined with trees and old houses. The evening light made everything look warm and peaceful. He parked beside a small white house with a porch and a tall maple tree in front. Emily stared at it. It looked charming, old but full of character. She turned to him. "Why are we here?" Daniel didn't speak right away. He took a breath, the kind someone takes before saying something important. "This house," he said softly, "is yours." Emily blinked. "Mine, ours," he corrected. "I bought it." For a moment, Emily couldn't breathe. She stepped out of the car, her legs shaking. She walked up to the porch, touching the wooden railing, staring at the windows, the door, the little flower beds waiting to be filled. She turned back to Daniel, still shocked. "You bought a house." He nodded. "Everything I've been doing, all those long hours, all those nights, are why I was saving. I wanted to surprise you. I wanted to give you something that would last." He pulled a small envelope from his pocket and handed it to her. Inside was a key. A real house key, shining under the porch light. Emily felt her heart twisting. All the lonely nights, all the doubt, all the moments she feared losing him, they suddenly made sense. "I thought you were pulling away," she whispered. "I thought we were falling apart." Daniel stepped closer, his voice low and warm. "I never left, Emily. I was trying to build something for us. A fresh start. A place we can make our own. A place where you feel loved every day, not just on birthdays." Tears filled Emily's eyes. She didn't try to stop them. Daniel unlocked the door. The house smelled like wood and paint, empty but filled with possibility. The living room had big windows that let in soft evening light. The kitchen was small but cozy. The hallway led to 2 bedrooms and a tiny room that could be a study or maybe a nursery. One day, Emily walked through every room slowly, touching the walls, imagining furniture, memories, laughter. She pictured dinner nights, movie nights, holidays, maybe even a dog running across the floor. She felt something she hadn't felt in months. Hope. Daniel watched her silently, letting her take it all in. When she returned to the living room, he spoke again. "I know I should have told you," he said. "I just wanted it to be perfect. I wanted your birthday to mean something. Not a gift you forget in a week. A home you remember forever." Emily walked to him and held his hands. Her voice shook. "This is the most beautiful gift I've ever received." Daniel smiled, but it wasn't a big smile. It was soft, grateful, almost relieved. He leaned his forehead gently against hers. There was no dramatic music, no spotlight, just 2 people standing quietly in a house that was now their future. They sat on the empty living room floor, backs against the wall, sharing the cake she baked. It tasted sweeter than before. Daniel told her how long he had been planning this, how scared he was that she would misunderstand, how hard he worked to make sure everything was ready by her birthday. Emily listened to every word. She felt her sadness melting into joy, her doubts turning into trust. She realized love wasn't always loud. Sometimes it worked behind closed doors, quietly building something strong. Later, when they stepped outside, The night sky was full of stars. Emily looked at the house again, small, simple, perfect. She squeezed Daniel's hand. "Thank you," she whispered. "For this. For us." He kissed her forehead gently. "Happy birthday, Emily." And for the first time all day, she felt truly celebrated, clean, emotional, romantic, dramatic. No explicit or harmful content. Perfect for YouTube storytelling and monetization. Would you like part 3 in 1,000 words next to complete the full emotional arc? Here is part 3 explained in approximately 1,000 words. Fast-paced, emotional, simple, English, clean, and fully suitable for YouTube monetization. Only the story. Part 3, the birthday she would never forget. Extended around 1,000 words. The house felt different the second time Emily walked in. Earlier, it had felt like an empty building. Now, it felt like the beginning of a new chapter. The air inside was cold, but her heart was warm. She held the key in her hand like something precious, something she never wanted to lose. Daniel walked beside her, turning on lights room by room. Soft yellow light filled the space, making the house look gentle instead of bare. The floors creaked slightly as they stepped inside the living room. The sound wasn't annoying, it felt alive. Like the house was welcoming them. Emily stood in the center of the room and slowly turned in a circle, imagining everything that could be. "Where do we start?" she asked quietly. Daniel smiled. "Anywhere you want." They sat on the floor again, backs against the wall, just like they did earlier. But this time, Emily leaned her head on his shoulder. The silence between them wasn't cold anymore. It was peaceful, comfortable, safe. Daniel spoke first. "I know the last few months have been hard. I know I haven't been the husband you needed. But everything I did was for this. I wanted a home that belonged to us. Not rented, not borrowed, ours." Emily closed her eyes, listening. His voice wasn't rushed. It was steady, honest. "I was scared," he continued. "Scared it wouldn't work out. Scared I wouldn't be able to save enough. That's why I stayed late, took extra shifts, stopped going out on weekends. I wanted this to be ready for your birthday." Emily lifted her head and looked at him. "You should have told me," he exhaled. "I know. But I wanted it to be a surprise. I wanted you to feel loved again." Those words cracked something inside her. She didn't realize how much she needed to hear them, how much she needed proof that she hadn't been forgotten. Emily thought about all the nights she sat alone on the couch, wondering where he was. All the mornings she woke to an empty pillow. All the times she feared he was slipping away from her. And now she understood he wasn't slipping away. He was building something stronger. She placed her hand on his cheek. "Thank you," she whispered. "Thank you for not giving up on us." They walked to the small bedroom where the walls were painted a light cream color. Emily imagined a soft bed, white curtains, picture frames filled with memories they hadn't made yet. She pictured waking up here every morning, hearing birds outside, smelling fresh coffee, seeing sunlight through the windows. She pictured happiness. Daniel walked to the window and touched the glass. "You see that tree?" he asked. "Maple turns bright red in the fall." Emily smiled. She had always loved autumn. "It looks beautiful." "It will look even better when you hang lights on the porch," he said gently. Emily laughed softly. She had missed laughing like that. They moved to the kitchen. It was small but cozy, white cabinets, silver handles, a window above the sink. Emily opened one of the cabinets and imagined plates stacked neatly, cups hanging on hooks, spices lined up in a row. She imagined cooking together, arguing over recipes, tasting food, burning toast, laughing when things went wrong. Not perfect moments, real ones. Daniel leaned on the counter. "I know it's not a big house," he said, "but it's enough for us." Emily shook her head. "It's not about size. It's about love." Those words filled the room. They explored the rest of the house, the bathroom with a small skylight, the second bedroom that would become a guest room, and a tiny space that could be a home office. Every step, every doorway, every corner carried promise. When they finished walking through the house, Emily stood in the living room again. She felt like her entire birthday had changed in one moment. The morning had been filled with sadness. The afternoon felt hopeless. But the night felt like magic. Daniel pulled 2 small paper cups from his car. He had stopped earlier and bought hot chocolate without telling her. They sat on the porch drinking slowly, watching stars appear in the dark sky. A cool breeze moved across the yard. The maple tree rustled gently. Emily rested her head on Daniel's shoulder. "I'm sorry," she said quietly. "I doubted you." He shook his head. "You had every reason to. I should have been present. I should have explained more. But I promise you something now." He turned to face her fully. "No more distance. No more silence. I won't let work take me away from us again." Emily held his hand tightly. "We'll build this place together," she said. "Room by room, day by day." For a moment, they stayed silent, listening to the night. It was peaceful. No cars, no noise, no city lights. Just the two of them and the sound of leaves moving with the wind. After finishing their drinks, they went back inside. The house was empty, but it didn't feel lonely. Daniel took off his jacket and placed it on the floor. Emily sat beside him again. Their shoulders touched. They talked quietly about paint colors, furniture, curtains, and where to put the Christmas tree. Every idea felt exciting. Every thought felt like a future coming to life. Emily's eyes softened. "This is the best birthday of my life." Daniel looked at her like she was the only person in the world. "It's only the beginning," he said. They drove home late, but Emily didn't feel tired. Her heart felt full. When they reached their old apartment, she looked around one last time. It suddenly felt too small, too quiet, too crowded with memories that didn't matter anymore. The apartment had been a place they lived, but the house they would grow there. Before going to bed, Daniel held her close. He whispered again, "Happy birthday, Emily." This time, she believed every word. The next morning, sunlight filled the apartment. Emily woke up smiling, something she hadn't done in a long time. She checked her phone messages from friends, birthday wishes, notifications, but none of them mattered as much as the key on her nightstand. She touched it gently, reminding herself it was real. Later that day, Emily and Daniel went back to the house with cleaning supplies and notebooks. They planned paint colors, wrote a list of things to buy, and measured walls. Emily took pictures of empty rooms, already imagining how they would look months later. In the living room, Daniel pulled her close. "This place is our promise," he said. "No matter how hard life gets, this house will always remind us of today." Emily felt tears rise again, but this time they were full of gratitude. That night, sitting on the porch under warm lights they had just hung, Emily thought about everything that had happened. She thought about loneliness, fear, hope, surprise, and love. And she realized something important. The greatest gifts are not wrapped. They are built with patience, with effort, and with a heart that never stops caring. Her birthday hadn't started with joy, but it ended with a future. And that was a gift she would never forget. Clean, emotional, romantic, inspiring. No explicit or harmful content, perfect for YouTube storytelling and monetization if you'd like. I can now write a voiceover narration version. Provide 5 YouTube titles plus thumbnail text. Create a short. Dramatic trailer script for this story. Just tell me what you want next.